Hello and welcome to a new video. In this one we are going to make a simple stacker game that exists on the internet and people enjoy to play for some reason, I don't know. But in this one we are going to make it so that you can spawn these platforms, you can place them down when you want to. They're of course spawning in the right random order, even though it went 5 times there, and it's keeping score and also increasing the speed of which the platforms arrive accordingly. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. As you can see, I'm in a blank template here. So what we're we are gonna delete all these static meshes. Secondly, what we're gonna do is we are gonna add a couple of blueprints. So we're gonna have a player controller, which is gonna be PC base. We're going to have game mode base, so GM base, and then we're also gonna have HUD as a class. HUD base. And then if you click inside this world, you can go to your right side and you will see world settings. In there, you can override the game mode by selecting the game mode base. So if we click play now, nothing's actually going to work because we actually have to set the default pawn class and everything in here as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new blueprint. This was going to be a type pawn, which is going to be the player pawn. I'll do player character, because everything else is player character. So now on your right side here, when you have selected your game mode base, now you can select the default pawn class, which is going to be our player character, right? The pawn class that we just made. The HUD class is going to be our HUD base. Their controller class is going to be the PC base, and the everything else you can leave as blank. Let's set up our player character first of all. So let's open up our player character. Inside here, we're going to add a camera, right? This is our player camera. Inside of here, we're going to add a new function. This one is going to be called move up. Inside of move up, we're going to do something very simple. We are going to get our scene root. We're going to get the world location from our scene root. We're going to split that open by right-clicking it. And then we're going to get our scene root once more. And we're going to set world location. Split open the new location. What we want to do is we want to get the X and we want to get the Y as the same ones. And then we want to, out of this Z, you want to do a addition. And that return value is going into the location. And then we're going to make a new float. Move up height. And we can plug that in. For now, we're going to have move up height at 50. So now when we play, if you look in your top right, you should see your player character. There we go. The next thing that we are going to make is a platform, right? So we are going to make a base platform. So our blueprint class, we're going to make an actor. This one is just going to be a base platform. Inside of our base platform, we're going to add a static mesh. And we can scale this static mesh. Also, let's add a shape cube. Then we could scale this to something maybe like 5.5.5, something like that. That is our base platform. This one is going to block all on your collision presets. The base platform, you're going to place inside your world. And then we are going to rotate it 90 degrees. Actually, maybe... yeah, I'm going to rotate it this way, 90 degrees. On your perspective, you can change the top so we can actually align this perfectly. So this is our character. And then we can move it there. So if you click play now, it looks a bit weird, doesn't it? So we can go to our front view. And was it too high already? Yeah, it was. So we can move it like that, maybe. A little bit more. And then we probably also want to make the player a little bit further away. Something like that. Let's move this a little bit more down, actually. Make it on the red line. There we go. Now, we want to make a new, let's go back into perspective first of all. And then we want to make a new blueprint class. This is going to be a type actor. This one is going to be called platform spawner. Inside of platform spawner, we're going to have a event graph. Inside of begin play, we're going to do some stuff. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cast to our player character. And keep in mind, this is not a character class, so we need to get the pawn instead. This is a pawn. And then we want to promote that to player ref. What we also want to do is we want to add a couple of arrows. So the first arrow, as you can see here, we're going to set the, let's see if the, what is the, okay, so this one, the first one is going to be set to negative at 800. And then you can duplicate that, flip it. We can actually call this first one left arrow and right arrow. The right arrow is going to be at plus 800. That's 8,000. That doesn't work. There we go. And then you can flip that, if you please, 180 around. Inside of your event graph, after we have set our player character ref, we're going to do a delay, just so it doesn't start automatically. We need it to wait for a second while we set up some stuff. In here, we're going to do a random integer in range, so 0 to 1. And then we're going to switch on that integer, remove the default pin, add 2 more. So now we got 0 and 1. I'm going to add a new variable, which is going to be an integer. It's going to be called platform index. We're going to get that out here, and then we're also going to set it. So we're going to do a increment out of both of these. So just make one and then copy to the other and plug that into the set platform index. And then we can also do the same for number 1. This is just so we can keep track on how many we actually have in the world. After this, we're going to make a new blueprint class. It's going to be an actor. It's going to be BP platform. Instead of BP platform, we're going to have a static mesh. We're going to have a cube, shape cube, and we're going to scale this one to 5 on the Y and then 0.5 on the Z. Something like that. You can change this however you want it to be. After this, we want to head into our event graph and then remove these. And then actually, before I forget, we need to set up a game instance as well. So search for your game instance. And we're going to call this one my game instance. You can do this. You don't have to do this in a game instance, but I'm going to keep track of it in here. So we got that. Head over to your edit, into project settings, and then into maps and modes, and just set that so you don't forget it later. Back in your platform, BP platform, on your begin play, you're going to cast to your game instance, object being get game instance. I'm going to promote that to game instance ref. Let's go into our game instance for a second. We're going to add a variable. This one is going to be an integer. We're going to call this one stacker score. Compile that, head back to your platform, compile that, and then we want to make a new float, which is going to be the speed. So the speed of the platform. We're going to go into functions. We're going to call this one update speed. And what we're going to update speed with, we're going to get the game instance. We're going to get the score. And for this tutorial, I'm going to divide this by 10. So 1 becomes 0.1 and so on. And then I'm going to get the speed. And I'm going to do plus. There we go. Also, speed, set that to 5 as a base. And we'll plug that in there. And then we want to set our speed on the update. So the base is going to be 5 for us. And then we're going to add onto the stacker score divided by 10. So the first level is going to be 5.1, 5.2, etc. After this is done, you want to return. Compile that, head back to your event graph. After we have set this game instance, we want to update the speed, which we have just made. We want to add a boolean, which is going to be can collide. Can collide is going to be false by default. We're going to have a sequence, so hold down S and then press left click. And then we're going to have a delay, so hold down D and click left click. We're going to have a delay of 0.2 seconds for this. Then it's going to set can collide to be true. This is so we won't have any issues later on. Then 0, however, we're going to get player input. So get player controller and then enable input from that so that we can actually, the target is not there, the controller is there. so that we can actually left click and then he will, this BP platform will react to our inputs. We're also going to add a new integer, which is going to be the spawn side. So spawn side is going to be exposed on spawn and editable. We're going to get that out here. We're going to switch on int, hide the default, add to new. So 0 and 1. Left side or right side. If it's 0, so it's left side, in our case, we're going to add a new function, which is going to be called move platform left. We're going to do a self out of here. We're going to get actor location. Get actor location. Like so. I'm going to split that open right away. We're going to get ourselves again. I'm going to set actor location. And we're going to split that vector open as well. The X and the Z is going to be the same. We are only changing it on the Y value in our case. So it's going to be Y minus the speed that we set previously. Right? After this is done, you can return back to your event graph. If it's 0, we're going to move platform left. After this move platform left, we're going to add a delay. I'm going to have a very small delay of 0.01. I'm also going to add a new boolean, which is going to be drop question mark. I'm going to get that after our delay. I'm going to get that into a branch. And if drop is equal to false, well, then we're going into our switch on int again. Switch on integer, right? Because we're not ready to drop it yet. So we're going to keep moving it to the left. Or if it's true, then we're going to drop it. Let's create a new custom event for that. So custom event, this one is going to be drop. We're going to do this once. So you can hold down O, or you can right click and search for do once. The very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get a static mesh. We're going to set simulate physics because we want to drop it. So currently it doesn't simulate physics. Now it will simulate physics and it will react to gravity. We're also going to have a do we have our move up? Yes, we do. So our platform requires a player reference. So we're going to make that in our variable. So player ref. It's going to be of type player character object reference. It's going to be editable and exposed on spawn. Back on our base platform. Actually, we don't have to do that right now. We're going to set it up in a minute. We're going to get our player character. We're going to call our move up function that we made. So it's going to move up by 50. Because we're dropping this and we want to move up a bit, right? We want to get our platform spawner. Do we have any reference to that anywhere at all? No, we don't. So we're going to set that. Platform spawner ref of type platform spawner. It's going to be editable and exposed on spawn. Inside of that, we want to call, if we have made it, I don't remember, spawn platform. No, we have not. So let's head into our platform spawner for a quick second. Before we switch on int, what we want to do is we want to make a custom event, which is going to be called spawn platform. And then we also want to make a new function, which is going to be update height. So this is the same as the move up by the way, in our character. So what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves. So get self. We're going to get the world location of the scene root. Move that down there. I'm going to split that open. And then we're going to set world location from a scene root. A scene component. Scene root? Yeah, scene root. I did not mean to promote that. Split that open. The X and Y are going to stay the same. The Z is going to be Z plus 50 for us. Because we're moving up our player by 50 and we're moving up the spawner by 50. Back in the event graph, you can now call our update height and plug that into the switch on int once more. Back on the platform, did we finish that? No. We need to spawn platform from our reference. And then we need to get our game instance. And we need to increase the score of it. So we actually need to right click here, do a custom event. Actually, should we do this in a function instead? Yeah, let's make a function. It's going to be called increase stacker score. And it's going to be very simple. We're going to get our score. We're going to increment that integer. So it means add 1 to it. And then we're going to set it. We need to update this though. Actually, let's not do that right now. So back at our platform, we're going to get our game instance and increase the score. So that handles that basically. Now it spawns a new platform. However, if it's 1, right, so it's on the other side, then we need to move platform right. So copy this, duplicate this one. This one's going to be move platform right. On move platform right, we're going to simply change this one out to be a addition instead of a minus. So plus instead of a minus. Compile that. And back to the event graph. Now we can call our move platform right. Same as before, add a delay. You can also copy everything up top, but I'm not doing that right now. If it's false, we're going back into the switch. However, if it's true, then we need to call a drop function that we made, drop custom event that we made previously. So out of true, just call drop on both of these. Now you might be wondering, when are we calling drop, or when are we saying that drop should be set? Well, remember we have set our enable input up there. So we are able to left click if you want. So I'm going to do left mouse button. You can do push touchpad or whatever you want. When we press, it's going to set drop to be true. And back into the platform spawner. After we increment our indexes, we're going to spawn actor from class. The class is, of course, our platform, BP platform, like so. In here, we need our player ref that we set up the requirement for before. We need the platform spawner, which is going to be ourselves. And then this is 0, so it's going to be right for us. The location, so split that transform open. Actually move this up so this one doesn't get covered. We're going to get our right arrow. And we're going to get the world location from our right arrow. Copy this one, move it down. And then this one is going to be the left arrow. Also, the spawn side of 0 is okay up there, but this one needs to be spawn side of 1. If I do a add our platform spawner, I do perspective top for a second, and then okay, I'm on the atmosphere. So, there we go. It's our spawner. So we kind of want our spawner to be dead center on that, maybe. If I do left view now, we want it to be somewhat on top as well. Let's see how that looks. Didn't actually start firing off. Yeah, it's not centered at all. We're going to do a top view up here. The spawner should be centered just fine. I don't understand. Wait, am I doing the wrong? I might be doing the wrong. Yeah. The height looks fine though. So I'm spawning it in the wrong location. Let's see what is happening over here. It should be spawning over there. Well, this one has to be centered so that the arrows are on the right side as well. Let's see how this looks. Well, going the wrong way. Let's swap that 180. There we go. Now they're going the right way. Another thing I want to check is, are they lining up? Yes, they are. They are a different size though. So let's go into our base platform for a quick second and just make the base platform a little bit wider than everything else. Right? So if I now click left click, it's going to drop it. And we are able to do that. Let's actually see that everything is working okay with that. Are we moving up? Yes, we are. Are the spawner following us? Yes, it is. Awesome. Now we need a way to tell it to go back and forth. We're going to do that by heading into our platform spawner. We're going to go into the viewport of that. We're going to add a box collision. It's going into the scene route. So attach that to the scene route. The first one, we're going to scale up. We're going to make it a little bit lower there, but we're going to make it 15 and 15, maybe something like that. The location is going to be 800, and that should be fine for us. I'm going to duplicate that box, and this one is going to be negative 800 probably. There we go. Now what we want to do is we want to make a on component begin overlap on these two. We're going to cast out of the other actor. We're going to cast to the BP platform. We're going to check if it can collide. And if it can collide, we're going to turn. So have we set up turn yet? We are not. Making a function. Just going to call this one turn, which is going to be very simple. We're going to get out our spawn side. We're going to switch on integer. As always, hide your default, add 2 more. We got 0 and we got 1. If it's 0, we're going to set spawn side to be equal to 1. If it's the other way around, I'm going to set it to be 0. That is our turn. Because remember, when spawn side changes, inside our event graph, this one is going to change as well. It's going to switch over here. So spawn side switches, this one is going to switch. Back on our spawner, out from true, we're going to drag out our as platform. We're going to call our turn function. And then we want to set that up for box 0 as well, or just box. And just copy that down, and other actor is the object. If I hit compile and save and hit play for a quick second, see how this looks. And there we go. Now it's doing what it's supposed to do. Let's add a score system to this as well. And also, let's go into our content. Here we got some, we need to clean this up later. I don't bother now though. We got our HUD base, and the reason we're using HUD base is because we are then able to use it online. You don't need it here, but in this particular scenario, you probably don't need it. I'm just making it a habit for myself to actually use it as often as possible so that it goes into my routine. That's basically it for me. Gonna make a new use widget. Could call this one WP HUD. I'm gonna make another one as well, which is gonna be the wait, where did it go? WBP score. So instead of score, it's gonna be very simple. We're gonna add a text, make that desired. I'm gonna change the font from a bold to a light. And I'm gonna call this one score text. And the sample text is gonna be 99999. Inside of our HUD, I want to add a canvas panel, and then we want to add our score to that. I want to size that to content and move it in the middle. Now, if you click play, nothing's going to actually work, and that is because we're not using it on our class. So we need to go into our HUD base, and then we need to get the begin play, and we need to create the widget of type HUD, and then add that to the viewport of the players multiple. Inside of our HUD, we're also going to just do something real fast, and that is on our construct. Nope, we're not doing anything in the HUD actually. We're going into our score and into our graph. On our construct, we're going to cast to my game instance. Object being, object being get game instance. I'm going to promote that to game instance ref. After this, we're gonna get the stacker score text that's over here. So let's actually go and make that variable, compile that, get our score text, set text from that, and the in text is gonna be the score from our game instance. And that's going into there. That's our construct. So now it should say 0. But we also need a way to update it. So let's add a custom event called update score. And then plug that into there like so. Now, back on our platform for a quick second. Are we actually increasing the score? No, we're not. I forgot to call our update. So let's add a new variable into this one. I'm going to call this one stacker score widget ref. And it's going to be WP score. And then back in our score, when we are casting to our game instance, we might as well, at that point, set our stacker ref. Let's plug that into there. This is going to be ourselves. And then let's also just move this one down there so that it's a bit tidier. Once that is set, we can go back into our game instance. And when we update our score, we can get our widget ref and we can update the score from that. And then we can return. If I play now, I can left click, I gain the score, and it's just going to keep adding on to it. And also if I spam it a little bit, so you can see that the speed actually changes. Now you can see that it's moving a lot faster. So that's how you would make a basic stacker game. How you want to kill the player or whatever is totally up to you, but this is how you would keep score and also add the functionality to it. One thing though that I did feel is that let's out of the owning player, let's just do player controller for that, and then also after that let's do a set input mode game end UI, so, and then set show mouse cursor for our sake. If you do this on mobile, you probably wouldn't have this. Compile and save, hit play. Now we got our mouse and we can actually see what we're doing. But anyway, that's how you would make a stacker game. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.